So, welcome to Ecuador. We're back here. Right now, I'm in the middle of the G Adventures Ecuador Quest. It's an 8-day tour starting in Quito to Banos, where we are now, into the rainforest from there, and to the hot springs afterwards, going back to home through Quito. One of the biggest things that I've learned about G Adventures on this trip is they have a massive following. Nearly everyone I've met on this trip has been on multiple G Adventures tours. And I'm not talking 2 or 3, 7, 8, 9 G Adventures tours. And everyone you meet is a very well-traveled individual. And you can learn a lot just by talking with your fellow passengers, your fellow adventurers, like I have. So I invite you to consider G Adventures for your next tour. I think you'll be very, very pleased. We'll come to you again in a bit as we continue to explore Ecuador.
So I came into Quito a day early so I could experience an optional day tour that took us to some of the more popular sites around Quito, including the Equator Museum, where we found a depth of information about culture, science, and how to make a shrunken head. We saw how things are a little bit different in the physical world around the equator. Water spins one way on the northern hemisphere and another on the southern. You can balance an egg right there on the equator if you're dexterous enough. I was not. And then we made our way into Old Town, where we saw some beautiful churches, including the National Basilica, as you see here, which was fantastic. A stunning example of Gothic architecture with an Ecuadorian flair. For example, the gargoyles adorning the outside of the basilica are Ecuadorian animals, not typical standard gargoyles. A friend of mine and I would come back later to climb into the basilica and up to the towers, where we saw amazing views. Now, news to me, they're redoing this walkway. It used to be pretty sketchy, but now they're making it a little bit more solid, a little bit more safe. These stairs, though, are still very sketchy, and I was sweating quite a bit when I made it finally up to the top to see these views of surrounding Quito. After the basilica, we enjoyed chocolate tasting at the República de Cacao, one of the most famous chocolatiers in Ecuador, a country famous for its pure, fresh chocolate. From there, more churches and cathedrals. We saw the opulence of the colonial Spanish times, and as someone with a religious background, it was pretty awesome to see, but also felt a little odd knowing the opulence and the decadence wasn't shared equally throughout the communities. We learned that there were times when only folks of white European descent were allowed inside the cathedrals. The others had to wait outside and listen to the sermons, the Mass, through open doors. After that, it was time to start the tour proper. Boarded a bus and headed for Banos. First stop, lunch. We ate at the Mercado, a bustling community center where every vendor serves about the same thing. Unless you wanted cuy, that's guinea pig. In Banos, we got to ride an amazing cable car. Just check this thing out. And no, that's not a child. She's actually the operator.
Oh, that doesn't... I've seen this before on other YouTube videos, but that's a lot faster than I thought it was.
That's fucking crazy. And it's just holding on.
I could not believe how high this thing is. It doesn't seem to be going that fast here, but we sure felt it when we were there. After that, we took a look at the famous Cascada El Payón, the most impressive waterfall on the avenue of waterfalls. In Banos, most of the members of the group decided to do some crazy adventuring, ziplining, paragliding, canyoning, even bungee jumping. Yours truly, being the chicken that he is, decided to spend the day exploring every nook and cranny of the town of Banos. And while I didn't have the adrenaline rush everyone else did, I was certainly not left empty-handed. This town speaks to me in a way that none of the other towns that we saw did. Nothing at home reaches out to me the way Banos did. It's a colorful, vibrant community during the day, and at night, it's a party town. And that's my vibe.
Spending the day exploring Banos on my own made me realize how little Spanish I have retained from my college years. Poquito doesn't even begin to cut it. It's been an adventure, it's been fun, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. So here's some hot chocolate, Ecuadorian speciality. And I'm getting ready to enjoy it. Cheers.
As the sun set in Banos, I took advantage of the light to get a few more interesting shots of the cathedral, some of the vendors nearby, and perched myself at the top of a wonderful rooftop bar called Crater. The group would return here later that evening, and hijinks would ensue. So I'm here with some very fine friends, and I, for the very first time, have tried the Ecuadorian national dish that you see here. And yes, I'm touching it. If you know me, you cannot believe that I'm doing this. I'm doing this for you, my faithful followers. This is guinea pig. Tweet. These are my friends. And this is Ecuador.
I'm laughing like I'm not about to scream the same way. So, the terrified screams you're hearing right now are because we are at the swing at the end of the world. Now, I've seen a number of videos about this, but none of them really do it any justice. And none of them tell you about the steep climb that you have to get here, and that you're out of breath by the time you're here. So it's hard to scream, but somehow we manage.
Something about this park invigorated every one of our group, made us feel like a kid again, with the swings, the zip lines, and even the park grounds that were full of flowers and butterflies and hummingbirds that moved too fast for any of us to catch with our cameras, but they were fantastic. I took a little bit of time to examine the swinging apparatus that held us alive as we swung over the top of the mountain, and I wish I really hadn't done that. But we're gonna just kind of gloss over the OSHA regulations, I'm sure, that are being violated here, and enjoy the relaxation and the fun, because none of us really knew what to expect from the next half of our adventure. We traded the cool, crisp air of the Andes Mountains for a hot, steamy jungle sauna. Some of us were caught unprepared, as the weather reports had led us astray. We've since learned, ignore the weather reports when you're talking about Ecuador. We took a tour of the jungle, learned about the land and living off of it, and enjoyed an impromptu spa treatment where we each got cool, soothing mud facials. And then later that evening, we enjoyed a family dinner and learned all about the ins and outs of making fresh chocolate.
It's the same. I don't know if you've seen the process of cacao and coffee.
We separated the beans, roasted those beans, shelled them, ground them, and melted them. Later that evening, with dinner, we enjoyed them.
This is 6.
So, good morning from the heart of the Amazon jungle. I've survived the first night. We had a torrential rainstorm last night, but the sound of the rain actually was pretty soothing. You could hear all kinds of animals in the background, monkeys, chickens, there are chickens here, and dogs, and other exotic things that I have no idea what they were. It was a great night. One of the things that I wanted to check out as a travel agent on this tour was the authenticity of this experience that I'm having right now. I wanted to see if it was a manufactured, touristy kind of thing or an authentic, living community. And what I've discovered, it's absolutely authentic. Last night there was a celebration. The owner of the property had his birthday, and the family came out. There was a party. There was a birthday cake. We all sung happy birthday to him in English and Spanish. And it was a really touching moment. The owner and his wife introduced himself to each one of us and made us all feel very, very welcome. The accommodations are very rustic. Open air, no air conditioning, no electricity in the bunkhouses themselves. The rooms are separate. It's not a barrack style situation. There are separate rooms, twin beds each, with mosquito netting. And somehow I've lucked out getting a room to myself this whole trip, which I didn't pay extra for, but it's been a nice bonus. So I've made tons of friends on this trip, and I'm looking forward to meeting more. There are 3 groups from G Adventures staying here right now in the compound, and I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of new people. So stay tuned as we bring you more from Ecuador in just a bit.
Our next adventure was learning how to use the traditional blowgun. We got to see the blowgun accessories that are carried. We got to see the actual poison that's used in the poison darts. And each one of us got to take a shot for ourselves. It's a lot harder than you think it is. And not one of us hit the target. However, one of us did win a prize. And that prize was dinner.
Yeah, 1, 2.
Well, I told you I was going to do this. Here's a bug. Here's me eating the bug. Tastes like bacon.
That evening, we took a hike deeper into the rainforest, where we learned more about the medicinal plants that the area has, as well as the toxic ones. It was there that the shaman that we had met and spent so much time with told us that his own mother had succumbed to one of these toxic plants. And that was a very touching story.
Another day in the heart of the Amazon, another fantastic adventure. Yesterday, we went on a whitewater rafting trip. That's something that I didn't plan on doing, but I was talked into it, and I'm so glad I was. I've been rafting before, but this was the most intense rafting that I've had ever done. It was only class 3, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I sure don't know what a class 4 or class 5 would be after what we did. We had so much fun. Many of us ended up in the water, whether we wanted to or not, and it was just exciting, and I loved it. So that was a great part of the day. The evening brought us to a really special time where we got to connect with the family, learn a lot about the Quechua traditions that we have learned about. Learned about shamanism from our host. We learned about things like traditional marriage in their society and so much more. It was really, really touching. We had traditional drinks. They made us special beverages that had a lot of meaning to them and were really, really tasty. So it was a great night. Today we head out to bike to the little community of Shandia and we're gonna take maybe a 45-minute bike ride to check that out. Then on to Papallacta, a beautiful hot springs resort, and get a little bit of rest and relaxation and kind of clean off some of the rustic grime that has covered us over the last couple of days. Everybody's looking forward to a very nice warm shower.
We found ourselves cycling through Shandia, a little community in the heart of the jungle. We met school children, we played games, we enjoyed a little bit of shade, and found our way to a very nice resort area that is used by the local community for gatherings and whatnot. We had lunch, we relaxed a little bit, got a breather after the bike ride, and then piled up once again into a bus where we would head for Papallacta.
So the last stage of our journey brings us from the depths of the rainforest into the heart of the Andes Mountains. Significant elevation change to the Termas Papallacta Resort and Spa. This place is amazing. I'm just going to let the video I shot here speak for itself. This is a fantastic resort, and unfortunately, because of the whitewater rafting experience, I am too sunburned to take advantage of the hot springs that are just bubbling up all around me right now. Very jealous of everybody who's able to take part in that bit of the spa experience, but another time. This is definitely a place I'm ready to come back to.
For one last adventure, a few of us decided to take the teleférico up to the very top of the mountain, overlooking Quito. This is one of the highest cable cars in the world, taking you up a full 14,000 feet into the air. Here we saw amazing views of Quito. Unless you see this, you would never understand how expansive this city actually is. We also took another minute to revisit our favorite Ecuadorian pastime, swinging. And I mean on swings. This has been an amazing trip. If you've enjoyed this video, I ask you to please subscribe to the channel for more adventures to come. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.